Welcome everybody, welcome back to Homestead Heart. So yes, some of you had a problem with it. So let's go ahead and talk about it.
A lot of people had a problem, I think, with a lot of people that's getting the services, EBT, they feel that they are taking advantage of the benefits. You know, some people use it wisely, and some people just use it to buy snacks and really nothing serious that can give you, like nutrition, a lot of people don't know, until they learn to do better. I'm pretty sure, hopefully, they will buy healthier things with it.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I will say before I go too far into some of the communication that was taking place in the comment section, I want to say this because it was a very touchy subject, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, and I really have to give kudos, because for the most part, I'm gonna say it, just from my observation, but I'm gonna say at least 90% of the comments and communications back and forth, 90% were very respectful.
And that's a good
even
thing.
though so many people disagreed and had different viewpoints, they still were very respectful to the people that they were communicating with, and even to us, because some of you were saying, Mrs. H, well, we agree with this part what you said, but we don't really agree with this part of what you said. But it was all done respectfully, because remember, when you're dialoguing, you can have a difference of opinion, you can agree to disagree even, and you don't have to be savage about it. You can still be respectful one to another. So for those 95% of the people who were respectful to each other, even though you had a difference of opinion, I really want to say that to me is a testament of how we are trying to grow and how we are trying to come up and not stay in this same old muddy mental state, right? Feeling like we have to tear somebody down in order for our opinion to be heard, or make somebody else's viewpoint feel like it is absolutely nothing in order for our viewpoint to be either right or greater or any of that. No, that really to me stood out. Like over all of the comments, I was reading a lot of comments, and some of them were, kind of cruel. But like I said, that just kind of goes to show, we still deal with a lot of immaturity, okay? But for the most part, it was overwhelming for me to see how many people were disagreeing, but respectfully disagreeing one with another. So kudos to y'all, and y'all know who I'm talking to.
And the thing that I want to discuss is that, in a way, it's a good thing that you can't buy snacks with the EBT, because a lot of the sugar, the refined sugar, is bad for your health, and that's giving a lot of people diabetes,
children obese,
obese children, and kind of winging them off that and giving them something healthy,
right? So
you learn better, you do better, and you can buy good things, like healthy things with your EBT, which I know vegetables are very good for you. A lot of people that have EBT, I don't know if they really know exactly how to prepare meals that would taste good.
Well, I'm sure they do. I'm sure like a lot of people know how to, cook a meal, right?
Yeah.
But it's that if it's so bad for you, how about go to the companies instead of the people?
Yeah.
Right? If it's so bad for us, and it's killing people, and we know this, and the majority of us can agree that a lot of what we find on the shelves is no good, absolutely no good.
No good at all.
Then instead of coming after the person or the individuals who get the benefits, how about go after the millionaires and the billionaires that's putting it on the shelf? How about make them make a difference?
Yes.
Right now, I know
they're getting paid. They're getting paid big time.
And I know Mr. Kennedy is trying his best to get certain chemicals out of the foods, right? Things that are especially banned in other countries already. He's trying to get those things out of the foods here in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
So he has initiated that, and bravo, I agree, right?
Yeah.
But you still have to have a level of empathy for people. Now, somebody made a comment talking about if you beg and you can't,
you have no choice.
You don't have no choice. Right?
Yeah.
And I found that to be highly offensive because, again, in the video, we talked about how we like to throw everybody in one basket. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We know that there are some people who abuse the system. We know that already. Okay? Yeah. But what about the people? You're talking about a handful of people out of the thousands upon thousands of people that receive benefits. You're talking about a handful of people, a small percentage of people that abuse the system. And yes, someone also made the comment saying that the few people that do that, you know, compared to the whole, is making it harder on the people who are really trying to survive and get these benefits.
Yeah, and then until they can get a leg up.
Until they can get a leg up.
Yeah, and also, you know, maybe this is moving in a direction to what people will say, okay, now, since Mr. Kennedy is getting these things, these bad chemicals off the shelf, now it's time for us to eat healthy. And think about this. This is going to help America because you would have a stronger workforce.
Come on. That's so true.
You know, people will be stronger because you see people in China and other places, they're not obese.
Not like that. Not like here.
They have energy, you know, levels to where they building buildings, hospitals quick.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think if you just look like, I don't care where you go, just look and count every 10 people that you see, how many of those 10 are obese? Yeah. Right? It's a high number.
High
and
number.
That's because of what is being sold, right? You can't control everything. People are free to make their own decisions about what they buy, what they put in their own bodies, and all of that. They're free to make those decisions. But if you know that there are chemicals that is going to cause our health system to collapse because you have more people getting sick, more people needing medications, and the sad fact is that this country is not producing our medicine, so we have to depend on somebody else to medicate us, right?
But you know, it just got like that since the 90s. I say 2000s because you can look at videos of sitcoms of how we looked in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
Everybody was super slim.
The fattest person was Rerun on What's Happening.
Yeah.
And we thought Rerun was huge.
And you can look at old clips of the Oprah show. Even Oprah wasn't really that big.
Compared to what is obese today, right?
Yeah. So, you know, you can see it was a influx of bad chemicals
in the food
since the year 2000 coming all the way up to where we at now. Because you can look at old sitcoms like Martin. You can look at old hip hop videos in the 90s. You can look at Friends. You can look at Three's Company. You can see how skinny everybody was.
Yeah, everybody was smaller.
Yeah.
Because, you know, our food choices were not as expansive as they are today, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have all of those choices. And also, a lot of our meals were being made at home. We were doing a lot of homemade cooking, right? But today, it's so easy to go and buy anything out of the freezer section, pop it in a microwave, and that's what we feed our family every day of the week.
But you think about fast food back in the 80s and 90s didn't have all those chemicals in it. You know, and...
Or at least that we know of.
I mean, but, you know, people still didn't look like they was like obese.
Because fast food to me was a luxury.
Yeah.
That's not something we did all the time. I mean, if your uncle or grandpa or somebody took you by McDonald's, oh my goodness, that was a treat, because that only happened once every blue moon.
And they probably really still had really, like beef, real beef and real stuff.
Yeah.
Because you didn't see people coming up with all the different cancers and different diseases and stuff, But now, with the sugary foods getting back on topic to, the EBT thing.
Yeah.
People need to, I guess, eat healthy anyway.
That's true.
We really do. That sugar really will get you.
Right.
You get addicted to it. It tastes really good. And so, every day we crave that sugar.
Yeah.
So, hey, I think it's a good thing on one side, but on the other hand, learning how to bake your own cakes, learning how to, use brown sugar instead of that white refined sugar, it's all about education, learning, And here we are, we on YouTube University, and we can learn how to cook. Mrs. H have her own cooking channel. So
I need to work on that though.
Yeah.
I don't really be over there like talking about it. I gotta get better with that. I just be so busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? One thing that I will say is that how people, the few that were very harsh and almost hostile in a way in their comments towards people who receive EBT benefits. I'm gonna say this. See, it's easy to sit behind a computer and type that stuff out if you haven't been or walked a mile in somebody else's shoes, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, if you really want to complain, instead of complaining about I pay my taxes and I'm feeding these people who get these benefits and blah 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 and I'm sick of it, I don't want to do it and all of that, how about this? Put that same energy. Put that same energy into your communications with your Congress people, with those who are in office, about the billions of dollars that we send to other countries to enrich their countries, while people right here are starving to death and veterans are living under bridges. But you got other countries getting billions every single year from your tax dollar. So keep that energy.
Okay, now
when you communicate your concerns. Okay.
On the other hand, we can say that why are these people not working? I'm gonna tell you why. Because of trade schools wasn't really pushing trade. When the industrial revolution start producing this and that, learning these different trades to go from trade to a job site, that's what we should have been doing so we can produce things here. So people won't be needing benefits. Minimum wage won't be $7. You will be able to afford a home. You will be able to get more educated, send your children to better schools. So we really wouldn't be in this situation if we would get our children into a trade, and
because everybody don't go to college.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, do you remember when you had those kind of classes in school? You had woodworking, you had welding. All of these things were being taught in high school. Mechanics was being taught, basic mechanics. How to take out a starter, how to take out a carburetor, and all of that stuff was being taught in high school. It gave you an option on whether or not you wanted to take those kind of classes in high school so that you can further it when you graduated, and then not go and ask for a job, but go and create a job for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So, again, if you really want to complain about benefits, at least it's going to feeding your own people in your country. If you really want to complain about the money that ain't helping you at all because it's being sent overseas. Complain about those billions of dollars, billions that could easily take care of everybody in this country.
Yeah, and you think about it, you know, factories overseas, it should be factories over here.
Right here.
And then you got young people here that's on EBT benefits, that's not doing nothing, not being productive. They can be in trade school, then on the job training.
Right.
Right? And then that way they won't need to be given a handout, because the reason why I say that is because we don't want to give excuses.
Right.
You know, we want to give solutions.
Right.
That's why we doing this, because we don't want to sit up and be like, oh, we sympathetic to people just sitting there getting EBT and they have, you know, no chance of doing this and that.
And actually, pardon me, I could tell the people who didn't watch the video, because some people actually had those comments to say. And if you watch the video in its entirety, then you would have heard the primary message. And that was not the primary message about us being okay with people just sitting around doing nothing, eating buns and looking at soap operas all day long, right?
Yeah.
That's not what our message was about, right? That's not it at all. Our message was totally different from that. So, you know, like Mr. H was saying, you know, we understand that. We're not for that either. And again, I'm going to reiterate this. We don't care anything about no sugary snacks and all of that being taken off the EBT program. You missed the message. That has nothing to do, really. We just was making the point using that, right? But the message was not, that was not the point of the whole message. We are a homesteading channel.
Yes.
So of course we are not for soda pops and Dr. Pepper and whatever else people be buying.
Fruit Loops and
of course we not for that.
We ain't down with that.
No, we not.
But we know people that don't know any better about how dangerous sugary snacks are for you and your children. So they don't know any better. So that's why I'm saying trade school, learning how to education.
Yeah.
And you think about it, why do we need to get foreign people to come over here to work while we got people here that can be trained to do the job, but we paying our own people $7 and
we don't want to pay
50 cents an hour.
That's why you bring other people, because you can pay other people a small wage, but you don't want to really pay. And that's the thing. People are sick and tired of working for $7.25 an hour. I think that's the national minimum wage or something like that. If I'm not mistaken, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. But people are sick of that.
But I think that people that's coming in from other countries are entrepreneurs, and they making more than people that's working here, because they got contracts with landscaping, food trucks, all kind of things, right?
Yeah.
So they got a trade, but the American people don't have a trade. So the American people are getting EBT and all of this,
blue collar workers.
Yes, because you know, because they don't have a trade. So if trade schools was set up, or should have been set up since the 70s and the 80s properly, it would be a total different country right now. You wouldn't have you know, jobs, you know, people coming in from overseas, you know, coming over here to work and do all this construction work, all this high level building homes,
if
and
we
all
valued
of this.
our blue collar workers. If we really put the value on our blue collar workers that they deserve. Because this country was shut down without our blue collar workers. I don't care anything about your corporate people. They can be up there, you know, what they call them, white collar workers. Your white collar workers can't make it without you. Your white collar workers wouldn't work if it wasn't for the blue collar workers.
See, the true the true American blue collar worker that's born here was trained properly in trade school, it would be a whole different ball game.
It would be different.
You wouldn't have to worry about no tariffs.
But see, this house is so divided, right? And when I say the house, I'm talking about the country.
Yes.
And a house divided against itself cannot stand. And this house is divided, and that's why you see things happening the way that they are, as fast as they are happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So listen, you all, when it comes to this whole thing, you know, Medicaid and all of that, you know, I was listening to a gentleman talk about how the Medicaid is helping his family, right? Mm-hmm. And he was saying that with the cuts that are about to be made, or potentially about to be made to Medicaid,
yeah,
it would make it extremely difficult for him to take care of his family and work at the same time. It would just be too hard.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't be able to afford some things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's, you know, it's tough for the citizens who are really having it hard.
Yeah.
Right now, right? Most people are literally just trying to keep the rent paid, the lights on, the water paid, the gas paid, put gas in the vehicle, try to put a little food on the table, and God forbid you got a sickly child or a sickly parent that you're looking after, and you got to spend money on medications and things like that.
Yeah.
And with the price of some medicines, some people can't even afford. They have to skip. Can you imagine being a vet? And I'm telling you this because I'm telling you something that I know. I'm telling you a fact right now. A vet who has to skip taking his medicine. He take it this day, but not that day. This day, but not the next day. You know why? Because he can't afford it.
Wow, and he's a vet.
And he's a vet.
And then you know,
mm-hmm.
You know, and when you think about all the problems that we have, American-born people are the ones that paying the price for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you look. She just mentioned the vet.
Mm-hmm.
People that's native-born here never had a chance really to learn trade education.
Mm-hmm.
So now they making $7, $8, $9 an hour, you know, and have to rely on food stamps.
And some people are saying that EBT is only being cut for illegal immigrants.
Yes.
But hold up. I want you to think about that. If you are illegal, how are you getting benefits? Because Mr. Trump is deporting illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
So if you're getting benefits and you're illegal, how are you doing that? How have they not even just cut you off because you're not a citizen? No, you're gonna see what I'm talking about here soon. See, the point that I was making is that, you know, we're looking at right here instead of looking way down the road, right?
Yeah.
This thing has a path. It's like an avalanche. It has a pathway, right? It has a pathway. It's going somewhere.
Yeah.
And you'll see. You'll see, just like a lot of other things was just supposed to be for immigrants, and it ended up affecting everybody in this country, right? There were a lot of things that was just supposed to be happening to a certain group of people, but it started happening and affecting everybody.
Yeah.
If you know, you know. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But there is, you know, it's just, it has a pathway. It's going somewhere. And this is why I said that there's overreach. And somebody said it's not overreach when you begging for assistance. Again, I found that highly offensive.
You know, that's just on the surface.
Yeah.
When they see that, when they say you begging, but you look at the root cause of that. Why are they begging?
Why in the first place?
How did they get in this situation?
In the first place.
Why was this problem solved way back when you knew that, hey, we had the paper food stamps back then. It should have been a way to get things straightened out way back then when they had the little booklet, right? So you should have known back then, okay, everybody is outsourcing jobs now. All the factories that make this product, making BMWs, well, that's foreign, we're making Chevy, Fords. Oh, they being built in Mexico now. You know, why? Because you had the plants in Detroit, you had them all over the U.S. Why?
That was the automobile capital of the world. I mean, of the country, right?
Yeah, steel mills. Why? Why is it over there? Lumber. Why? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At one time, America was 5% of the population and producing 50% of most of the world's good. Back in the 40s and 50s, major producers. You know, you can go back even in the early 1900s, producing.
Yeah.
With a small population.
Yeah.
So, look at to where we at in 2025.
Yeah.
2025 now, we ain't producing nothing.
Hardly.
And now we got our citizens on food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are saying, oh, wow, how did we get here?
Mm-hmm.
How did we get here? Now people are begging.
Mm-hmm.
But people didn't have to be in that situation. People didn't have to be, you know, like veterans coming home and not having a place to stay. Yep. You know, because of greed. You know, so, hey, we have to go ahead and say what it really is. People are greedy.
Yeah.
You know, people don't have to, we didn't have to have people sleeping on the streets and begging. But it keep getting worse and worse. Yep. Because now we're in a situation to where we really have to grow our own groceries.
Yeah, and you know? Pardon me, and I'm gonna say this. Some I don't know how this was, I don't know how somebody twisted this, but somebody actually thought that we were speaking ill about the immigrants that were here. That's not what we were doing at all.
Not at all.
Because we do not speak like that on anybody. Because when you consider that, yes, some people do things that are bad and all of that, but some people are literally like they've been doing, trying to come here and have a better life and escape the things that they've been suffering in their own country, right?
Yeah.
Now, I do agree that we need to secure our borders. People shouldn't just be able to come over here whenever they get ready. Yeah. No, you shouldn't be, because we can't do that. Try going to North Korea and do that.
Yeah.
Try going to China doing that.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to do that. A sovereign country has to secure its borders. We understand that, right? So no, we were not speaking ill and putting any person down. We ain't doing that kind of stuff here at Homestead Heart, and we do not condone that, and we actually don't like people doing that in our comments either.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm gonna tell you something. One thing I have learned is that God has a way of humbling you. Mm-hmm. See, you can be bashing somebody else today, and he will put you in that same situation tomorrow so that you can see what it's like. Mm-hmm. Because people that receive EBT benefits, mm-hmm. people that are on Medicaid, and our elderly who are on Medicare, a lot of these people are on these benefits, mm-hmm. not because they don't want to do nothing at all. Mm-hmm. They're on them because they don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because the jobs that they work on, we talking about blue collar workers.
Yeah.
The jobs that they are on don't pay them enough to really make it in a society where everything else has increased in price. Mm-hmm. If your minimum wage is still, if the federal minimum wage is still parked mm-hmm. at $7.25.
And that's crazy.
However, meat is up. Vegetables is up.
You think a pack of meat is $10?
Garden fertilizer, even if you're growing your own food, even fertilizer is way more expensive than it used to be.
Yeah.
Which is why people are beginning to say, let's just make our own fertilizer because this is getting ridiculous out here. Mm-hmm. So everything is much more expensive. Yeah. Your cost of living expenses are way higher than they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but your money remained the same.
Yeah.
So if your money remaining the same, people are needing help.
Yes,
right?
they needing help. And see, sometimes when you just speak facts and you speak in truth about certain things, people would twist what you're saying.
Twist.
And that's not the case. You know, because everybody take care of home first.
Yeah.
If you in your own country, you gonna take care of home. That's what everybody's doing.
That's what you should do.
Right? But when you speaking about your own country, EBT cards and trying to get people, you know, off sugary foods, get them to eat good, healthy foods, that's a plus.
It is.
But we're not saying nothing about all of that other stuff, because what it really is that we need to take care of our families. We need to take care of what we see in front of us. We need to take care of our veterans. That's what everybody over the world, elderly, all over the world do in different countries. Everybody been doing that for centuries.
Yeah. Can you imagine you serving your country in the military? You going over and you fighting in all of America's wars, and then when you come home, they leave you sitting on the sidewalk in a wheelchair? Can you imagine that? They don't want to help you with this, that, and the other. They cut your benefits here and there. Can you imagine that? I'm sorry. Yeah. One more thing I'm gonna tell you. And the VA hospital, people that work there are doing the best that they can with what they are being given, right? So it's not coming from them. Like, so when you go to the VA and you see these doctors, nurses, staff, don't be angry with them. They can't do no more than what the government will permit them to do, right?
Yeah.
They have to follow the rules and regulations too. But when you think about your veterans that have served and then they come home and then they're being treated like they didn't lose a limb.
And they injured.
Or they're being treated like they didn't become mentally disturbed from the things that they had to do and the things that they saw when they were fighting in these wars in other countries. So to me, like Mr. H was saying, take care of home. If you really want to take care of the sick, if you just add this up, the last 5 years, add up the money that this government sent across the water to help build other nations. Think about all of that money that was sent. Just think about it. And then think about the number of people that are citizens in this country. What could that money have done for all of America's citizens?
Yeah.
All of America's citizens.
And then just add up all the other extra money that was given to people that wasn't even from this country. Think about that, you know, and you add all of that up, you know, citizens first. Everybody take care of their own citizens first.
That's the smart thing to do.
Right?
Because you don't realize that when you don't take care of your own citizens first, you're sabotaging yourself. You're setting yourself up for failure. Yeah. You're setting yourself up for a hard crash, not just a fall, and I do mean a crash.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah. So what we're witnessing right now, the suffering that we are seeing right now in our own country, this is coming from years and years and years of what Mr. H said, of pure greed.
Ripple effect.
Ripple effect.
It's all coming up right now, because you shouldn't have veterans that fought in Iraq still on the streets. You should Desert Storm veterans. You know, you shouldn't have that. And then just imagine the ones that coming all the way from the 90s, 2000s. Come on now.
I have a family member. I'm not going to say how he's related. I'm not going to say who he is. I'm not going to say his name or nothing like that. But I'm going to tell you this. It took decades for him to recover from the things that they had to do in war. From the things that they had to do in war. And even if it wasn't war, you just overseas, right? You just overseas. But the things that you had to do, that was so traumatizing, that it took decades. And imagine trying to get therapy for that, and you're being failed by the very system that you served.
Man. Yeah.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. So when we said in that video that this is about something way great, this is much larger than some flipping sugary treats.
Yeah.
This is much larger than that. This is much larger than somebody going and buy some Orange Crush with some food stamps.
Yeah.
Or some peanut butter cookies with some food stamps. This is bigger than that.
Yeah.
You really have to, man, you really got to put on a different pair of glasses so that you can see through that. Because that's a barrage right there. That's some stuff that's being put out here, but you got to look through that because you got to see where this is headed.
Yeah.
So that's what we were trying to express.
Yeah. And that's just on a smaller level.
Yeah.
You know, a sin, $7.50 minimum wage, EBT, people that's on the bottom, you know, that needs some kind of way to get up to where they can move around and learn a trade, where they can be decent citizens to where they don't need EBT. So the solution is what we just got through talking about. Trade school. Start them off when they're young. Learn how to do different trades when you're in junior high. They be ready to go. 10 years. 5 years. When they in junior high, they be ready to go and join the workforce. In shape.
Yeah, healthy.
And then if you really needed somebody to join the military, they would be in shape, because Robert Kennedy stated that majority of the young people are unfit.
To be in the military. And he was not lying. Unfit. I think he said wait a minute, was it Mr. Kennedy or Mr. Trump?
No, even Mr. Kennedy.
Okay.
It was in the 80s.
60, 80%. Okay, well, don't quote us on it. You can go back and look it up.
It's a high percentage.
It was a high percentage unfit to serve in the military. Now, listen. This person said, respectfully, how is it overreach to exclude poisoned snack foods paid for by all taxpayers? They're being purchased with other people's money. Medical bills, Medicaid are high because of the poison in the food. Now, if they start restricting what people buy with their own money, we have a problem. So listen, I totally agree with this part right here. See, telling people not permitting people to buy poisoned food, again, was not the point that we're making. Right?
Yeah.
We were saying that that's just the beginning. We were not saying that that's the problem. We were saying
I agree with
that's the beginning, because we agree too, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to add to this, because it's a beautiful comment. I'm going to add to this and say, if we really want to complain about our tax dollars, trust me, the trillions that have been sent over the water, we should start there.
And not only recently, the billions and trillions of dollars that have been sent over the waters since the decades ago. So you really
you can't even find a decent place to live, right? But billions are going over there. You got to pay. Your children got to pay for education. How about with the trillions of dollars that's being sent out this country? How come we can't educate our children for free like some other countries do?
And then they have free health care too.
And free health care. We sending trillions over the water. How come we can't provide free health care for our citizens then? Okay, so we had to stop it and start it again. But anyway, you all of that money that we send to other countries really could be used to benefit the citizens of this country, okay? And we're not talking about, again, no illegal immigrants. We're not talking about that. We're talking about our government willingly sends money.
Yeah.
Billions of dollars. Billions of your tax dollar. You really want to complain? Complain about that. Because that money, you never see it again. It doesn't benefit you. It doesn't help with the infrastructure in your neighborhood, in our country. It doesn't help with your food programs. It doesn't help with developing agriculture. It doesn't help with the health care system. It doesn't benefit the citizens of this country, not one single bit, but it benefits other countries.
Yeah.
What other country do you know do that?
Yeah, nowhere. And
Nowhere.
See the solution to get people off these benefits, trade school. Straight from, instead of like straight into a situation where you begging, you can be in a situation where you producing. You know, learning trade. That's the solution. That's it.
Yep.
You know?
Because you're gonna always need, everybody don't want to be a doctor. Everybody don't want to be a lawyer. Everybody don't, come on. You hear about, these professions, but everybody don't want to do that. Some people want to work for themselves. So you're going to always need plumbers. You're going to always need electricians. You're going to always need people who love to design clothes. You're going to always need people who love to work on appliances.
You're going to need people that love to build homes.
Build homes, contractors.
You're
going to always need people like that, right? Everybody, and I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of people that design homes know how to design them and build them. They're not architects. They're just carpenters that have mastered their trade.
And that's a good trade that our children need.
Yeah.
And they can make America so much of a beautiful country.
Strong.
When you got people that know how to build homes that's like in the subdivisions, those big, nice, beautiful brick homes. Our people, look how proud we would be. Our people learning brick masonry, learning carpentry, all of these great skills. They can be learned from 5th grade all the way up to 12th grade. So, that's the solution right there.
Yeah. Now, at Lily right here says that they have already stopped allowing seeds, herbs, and fruit trees to be purchased with EBT.
Wow.
So I don't know if they've stopped that. If you get EBT or you know somebody that get EBT, I would love to know if that's the case, everywhere. So please put that in the comment section below. And I hope that it's not the case. I really hope that it's not the case.
Yeah.
Right? Now, somebody also said, if you're telling people to buy seeds with EBT, if they don't know how to grow food, what are they supposed to do with the seeds? Get them. Get them.
And you got YouTube University.
And you got YTU.
Yeah.
So get the seeds. And then, now that you have the seeds, you can go to YTU. And you have enough seeds where you can make a few mistakes, and then you can go back and you can keep trying. But go on and get them, right?
I'm pretty sure, like, if you're a person that can learn how to play a video game, you can learn how to put a seed in the ground.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that again. If you know you can learn. A 5-year-old child can learn how to play a video game. 5-year-old child can learn how to put a seed in the ground, put fertilizer on it, and put water on it. I'm pretty sure they can learn that.
Yeah. So the bottom line, you all, I was really trying to find this particular comment that I really wanted to share with you all, but I can't find it. I thought it was such a beautiful comment, and I really wanted to share it, and I had it, but man, I have lost that comment. It was such a beautiful comment. It was so many of them that were just beautiful comments. Like I said, even though, we disagree on some things, the point of view, I still respect it, right? I don't have to agree with you on everything, like you don't have to agree with me on. In fact, you're not going to agree with me on everything or Mr. H.
Yeah.
It's just like, Mr. H and I don't agree on everything.
No, we don't. Not everything.
But we don't have to disrespect each other to disagree with each other.
Yeah, but my thing is, I just want American citizens to be the ones with the opportunity to be able to progress since they are born here. They should get the trade schools. They should be able to, not be on EBT, not be on minimum wage. They should have the opportunity to be able to have some of these skills.
Right.
You know? So, that's going to do it for Homestead Heart.
Let me see. I was trying to find that, but I can't find it. Gosh, I really wanted to share, and I wanted to thank this person for their comment, because man, it was so beautiful. It was such a beautiful, balanced comment that we really wanted to kind of highlight that comment for everybody. But in any case, you all, if with those changes, taking away all of that toxic chemicals in all of that food and stuff that a lot of people do buy for the children, we are not opposed to that at all, because you can replace those things, with healthier options like apples and oranges, and you got some healthier options that you would have to buy, but you cannot. Healthy snacks that have already been prepared are so expensive, right? I remember seeing like the Cheetos, the Simply Cheetos, how they have taken all of the colors and the dyes and all of that out of those snacks and stuff to try to make a healthier version of those snacks. But those chips are like 3 times as much as the regular Cheetos. It's a Skeeter eater right here. We really have to have it so that the older generation is going to take the time to actually teach the younger generation how to, because how can you know except you have a teacher, right? You gotta have someone to teach you. You're not born knowing how to do things. You wasn't born learning how to ride a bicycle or drive. You wasn't 3 years old driving a car. You had to be taught. You had to get the education. You
had to learn.
And unfortunately, in today's with today's generation, you do have some that have those skills, but unfortunately others do not, because so much time is spent building careers, or so much time is spent working 1-2 jobs and whatnot, that they don't have time to do the things that you may have time to do, because you are you just got the time. A lot of people are not afforded that. Some people work 6 days a week plus overtime. Some people work 7 days a week if they got 2 jobs.
So
you're
right.
Parents lean more towards convenience meals when they working like that. Something that is easy for the children to just go in there, put it in the microwave, warm it up, and get them some snacks to keep them calm while they working. To keep them happy or something while they're working. So it's a tough situation to be in, but this is where we are now. So instead of bashing, one another, or instead of bashing people who are in need, no. If you really want to make a difference, teach them, help them, right? Each one, teach one, right?
Come up with a solution.
Come up with a solution.
Put y'all solutions, y'all thoughts in the comment section, and then let us know what y'all think. So, we was passionate about this subject.
Very.
We want to at least come up with a solution for the people that's on EBT, and make sure we can put our input in. So let me know what y'all think. Thank y'all so much for joining us at Homestead Heart. Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings to each and every one of you. And we'll see y'all in the next video. And remember, grow your groceries.
Yes, y'all. Grow your groceries. Peace.